Hello y'all, it's Mary from Stamps-N-Lingers, and I'm hoping that this is working. Mr. Zuckerberg has seen fit to change how the live video starts up, so I'm hoping you're seeing it. If not, I guess we'll know soon, won't we? So anyway, tonight I want to show you some ideas that we got at On Stage using the Woodwords stamp set and the Wood Crate Framelits, which are all part of the Wood Textures suite in the new catalog. And I think you're going to like it. So let's just kind of go through. This is what we're going to be making today. We'll set that aside. Woodwords is the name of the stamp set, and it is either wood or clear red rubber. And you can see it's got some nice little sort of rustic, farmy kinds of images, a few nice sentiments, and this real pretty little floral image. So it's kind of fun. And it goes along with the Wood Crate Framelits. So before we get going much further than this, let me just tell you a little thing, if I could. So I think I mentioned in one of my previous videos that I have become an affiliate with the Stamp and Storage company, and they are the makers and purveyors of these wonderful magnetic cards. And I tell you what, I went through a lot of ways to hang on to Thinlits and Framelits, and this is the one that I have found to be the absolute best. So I wanted to give you a little tip. When you get your Framelits, they've got a couple of sizes of magnetic cards, so you're going to want both sizes. And when they arrive, they're going to have stickers in there, and there's plenty for each of the magnetic cards in each pack, and a few extras in case you mess up. I mean, not that I ever mess up, but maybe you will. I don't know. And what I would suggest that you do is put the label at the top, put the name of the Framelit or Thinlit, and then put how many pieces are in it. Now, it's not such a big deal for a small set, perhaps, but like, if I didn't have the 6 pieces up there, I might never know that this tiny little tag die wasn't on my magnet card, right? And if you get a bigger set like this with 17 pieces, yeah, you'll never know if one's gone, right? Never ever know if one is gone. So I would recommend that you do that, put that at the top, and then hang on to the plastic cases that they come in, just in case. You just never know. Don't throw them away. It's tempting sometimes when you're trying to clean out and pare down stuff, but I like to hang on to these, so just do it. Just do it because I said so. Okay, that's the only reason you have to do it, is because I said so. All right, let's put this away because we're not going to use it today. The other piece, a couple of other things that are in this suite is this. First of all, is this great copper trim. I love this. Goes along with the copper embossing powder, the copper foil sheets, both of which are in the new catalog as well as the old one. And I think it's really kind of fun to play with. So here's a cool thing that this does. You can pull it apart and make it into this pretty metallic webbing, and then do whatever you like with it. Make a bow out of that so you've got a little wider accent piece on your card. And then if you change your mind, all you gotta do is kind of pull it like that, and there you go. All right, I see I've got 2 folks on. Who's there? All right. The other piece of this suite is this wonderful wood paper called the Wood Textures Designer Series Paper Stack. And something that's new this catalog, all the paper stacks, and those are the ones that are 6 by 6, they don't have any binding on them anymore. So that annoying rubber binding that used to be on and could tear your pages as you tore them out of the set, that's gone. So you have all of that like this, all loose. So you get 4 pieces of each design, and they're front and back the same. So that's kind of fun, especially when you are making what we're going to make tonight, which is the wooden crate. See how the inside is the same design as the outside, just like a real crate would be, yes? Kind of fun. And you get 4 pieces of each one. When you cut it out, you're going to see what's left over. You need to cut 2 of each piece. So you'll have leftover that's plenty big enough to line an envelope flap or add a little accent to another card. So be sure to hang on to your leftovers. So here's what we're going to make today with these goodies are right here. We're going to make a little wooden crate. Now, the sneak peek that I gave you, I would show you one of those items, but I just gave them all away at Easter dinner, so yeah, I can't. But all I did was make 10 of these little dudes, and I put some pink grass, Easter grass in, and then I put a few Easter eggs, some chocolate-covered eggs, and I gave one to everybody, and it was kind of fun, because one of the ladies, she was looking, and she's like, Mary, I do not know how you did this. And she's peering around. And I said, well, it's 2 die cuts and I just glued them together. She's like, well, but you did such a good job. I can't see any seams or anything. I just can't figure out how you're doing this. So it was kind of cool. But they went over very well. But we are going to make today a couple of, actually we're going to make 3 little tiny note cards and some coordinating envelopes with the envelope punch board. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the crate die and we're going to cut 2 pieces of wood, and I am going to you see where yeah, so these are the cards that I made at Onstage, and they have kind of a darker wood, but I've made some envelopes with this paper right here, so I'm going to coordinate with my envelopes on the note cards that I make right now. So the paper I'm going to use is right here. This kind of light colored paper. And these are fun because you can now make any kind of little 3x3 note card. Oh, and here's a little something for you to take into account. When we made these at Onstage, we just had these regular ungusseted bags, and the demo who showed us what to do, she stuck her hand in like this, and then she did some magical stuff like that, and then she had sort of made a gusset. Well, as soon as I stuck my big old mitt in there, yeah, bing bada boom, I had a big old tear. So that doesn't work. But in the new catalog, we have 3" by 6" gusseted bags, which will work perfectly to make a little gift bag. So you can make your little crate, make 3 3x3 envelopes and cards, and put it in one of the new 3x6 gusseted bags, tie it up with some of the new copper trim, and you have a lovely little gift. That would be a great hostess gift, or a gift for a housewarming, or a hostess. Did I say hostess? Well, I did. I know I said it twice. But it would be a very cute little hostess gift, and easy to give and make. I can tell you, it only took me about 30 minutes to make 10 of these crates, because I just whipped them out in a kind of an assembly line fashion. So these are really fun and really easy. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull the Big Shot over. Pull the Big Shot over, and I'm going to be very bold, and I'm going to cut 2 of these out at one time, because that's how I roll. Just gonna risk it. Maybe you shouldn't try this at home. I am a trained professional. Not really, just, you know, a demonstrator like some of y'all out there. So here we go. Gonna go ahead and run this through, and I didn't put my squishy thing underneath to hold it still. Run it back once. Wasn't that so delicate? All right, and then we'll get this out of the way. Hey Joni, hey Julie. Nope, you're not. Joni Payne is on as well. Thanks for joining me, I appreciate it. We're going to be making a wooden crate tonight and a couple of little notepads. So I've got those 2 pieces cut out. You just need 2. We'll get this out of the way. Alright, and we'll hang on to this to use a little later. All right. So here's what you get when you cut these out. You can see you've got what's obviously an end piece and a side and a bottom. So all you got to do is, the only tricky part is making sure you fold them the correct way so that you can, you know, hook them together. Because the first time I did it, I cut them both, I folded them both the same way, and that just didn't work out so good. So here we go. So the first thing that I do is fold on the creases. The die makes the creases for you, so that's very handy. We're going to fold like so. Joni hasn't made any comments yet, but she's on. I hope y'all had a good Easter. All right, so that's going like this. So I've got this end so now I need to fold this way like this. See why it's so handy that this paper is the same on both sides? That's quite convenient. And just fold everything the same direction on the piece. Hey Jean, I'm glad you joined. I hope you had a good Easter. All right, so Jean, what we're doing, look at that, I did it exactly wrong. Right as I said to you, hey, make sure you do it right. I did it wrong, so I'll fold it the other way. You'd have thought I'd have figured that out after doing 10 of them, huh? What a dork. This just goes to show you that even a goofy woman can do this. All right, here we go. Now, you could use tear and tape adhesive, but I like the liquid glue my personal self. So that's what we're gonna do, because it's my little crate. And the first thing you do to make this is you assemble it by adhering the two bottoms together. So just put a little liquid glue on one bottom. Hey, I see, Jean, you weren't able to message. I'm glad you've been on from the get-go, and I'm glad you had a nice Easter. All right, so just line this up. And this is kind of why I like to use the liquid glue versus the tear and tape. It gives you a minute to make sure it's right. When I did this at Onstage, we were in kind of a hurry, so I didn't do it so right. So if my friend from tonight had looked at this one, she'd have seen some seams, because I was in a hurry and didn't pay attention. So take a second and just let it get right. Look at that, I put my big head right in the way. I'm sorry, people. All right, next up, you're gonna close up the ends. So just a little bit of glue on your two handy tabs, and then pull it across. And I just hold it a minute so it starts to set up. Again, take your time. In the big scheme of things, it's not a lot of time. And then tuck that in and get you a crate going. There you go. Kind of squeeze it together and hold it in place. Now obviously the tear and tape would be a little more instantaneous, but I still like the glue. I'm a glue woman. I'm a glue woman. So we took Finney today with us to dinner. We had dinner with our friends, and we took him, and so he had him a big old time. He is sleeping sacked out. I'm surprised you can't hear him snoring. He is sacked out under my table. Just do both sides the same exact way. A little bit of liquid glue, and then pull them together. It is kind of between cardstock and lightweight. It is definitely paper. So it made a very nice little envelope, which I was pleased with, since the envelope paper has gone away in the new catalog. Now, here's a newsflash. You're not going to put any real fruits and vegetables in these crates. They're not quite that sturdy. But check my post tomorrow, the picture that I have to show you these. I made those 10 and I filled them up with the grass and the eggs, and then I stacked them, and it looked, well, it looked just like you would stack crates at a farmer's market or on a shipping dock. and they held up pretty well, and they held up well enough to hold that grass and the Easter eggs in them, so that was good. So there you go. There is one each wooden crate. I just think they're really cute, and they're really easy. And now you can decorate this almost any way you want. We've got dies to cut out the matching stamps in the wood words stamp set, so you could add those in on the sides, or you could add them to your little note cards. So let's go ahead. I'll make the little note cards right now. I'll put my lid on my liquid glue so it doesn't all glue shut. Now I have 3 pieces of Whisper White cardstock. They're 3 inches by 6 inches, and I've scored them to fold at 3 inches. Yes, higher level math for me. Oh, that is a good idea, Jean. Color dots to know. That's a very good idea. I like that. I'm always up for something that tells me what I've got, because that's the hardest part. You have any good ideas for knowing what sentiments and images you've got? If you do, you'll be a rich woman when you sell that idea. Alright, so here's our 3 little note cards. And these are going to be insert size, obviously. So we're not going to get too complicated. We're not going to do a lot of layering. And we're just going to, okay, I want to show you another little trick with these stamps. And it took me a long time when I first got stamps, like my gorgeous grunge stamp set. I was so goofy. I pushed them all out and I tossed the extra. No. So here's what you do. Here's what I like to do now. I pull this off. See, this is a virgin stamp set. Pull it all off. Okay. And then just pull off the backs of each of the stamps. Keep it in its thingy. I think we've talked about the fact that I don't put labels on my stamps anymore, because it makes it much harder to make them stick to the acrylic blocks. So do that, flip it over, and just set it inside your case. And then that sticks to the case. So bada bing. And you can pull out your stamps as you need them, ready to go. So that's what I like to do with the first time I'm using it. So I am going to stamp just like I did at Onstage. We'll do a Bermuda Bay heart. I did a cherry cobbler rooster and a crumb cake star. So we'll do that right quick like a bunny. See how I got Easter in there? Bunny. I'm killing myself. How can I make, okay, so here's what I do if I've already got labels on them. It turns out that the labels will come off. You can actually, do I keep sticking my head in the way? I'm really sorry if I do that. Just like yell at me on there. What I do is I just gently, you just pull them off. You go kind of slow and let the adhesive come up. And I really had that work with some stamps that I've had labels on for a long time. If you get a little bit too much, sometimes it'll leave a little adhesive there, and you can just kind of use your artist eraser to take it off. But once I realized that I didn't want the labels on, every time I opened up a stamp set and I found a label, I started pulling them off. So you can remove them if you need to. All right. Now that looks sort of centered, so I'm not going to worry about a stamp-a-majig. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and wing it here, folks. So, you know, that's what we did it Onstage, so I'm going to risk it. These are kind of fun. See, it leaves some little lines in it. I tried to stamp it twice at Onstage because I was like, oh, that's really not how it's supposed to be. But in fact, that's exactly how it's supposed to be. And I think it's kind of cool. Myself, looks kind of rustic. Clean that off. Stampy scrubby thingy is dry. So we'll get that cleaned up. do a star in crushed curry. I like my star to have a point straight up. Okay. And a rooster in cherry cobbler. Because all roosters are cherry cobbler, I'm pretty sure. That will not work. Y'all ever done that with a photopolymer stamp? Stick the photopolymer stamp with the stamp side down like that and then ink it up and stamp it. I can tell you, I can assure you, it's ugly. It's ugly. You don't want to do it. I have done it though. Alrighty, here we go. And one each cherry cobbler rooster. There he is. Alrighty, clean him up. Alright. Now, I'm only going to use one of the, I'm not even sure what I'm trying to say now, people. It's been a long week. I'm only going to use one sentiment. I'm going to make it, I'm going to use a note for you because I like that one and it's kind of multi-occasional. That's not a word, but you know what I was trying to say. I'm going to use a note for you and we're going to stamp it in archival ink. Like so. Easy peasy. There we go. All right. We'll set that aside. Okay, so those are ready to be decorated. Ready to be decorated. Now, let me get another piece of my paper. Where is my paper? Oh, here it is. All right, so for the bottom here, this is 5/8 inch wide by 3 inches, or tall, 5/8 inch tall by 3 inches wide. So I'll just pull out my stamping trimmer. Thank you, Jean. I would love to take credit for the design, but I cannot because it was somebody at on stage came up with this. All right, so 5/8 by 3. Come here, come here, come here. Anyway, Finn and his sister, who's a year older than he is, they just had a big time today, racing and running and carrying on. And so he is whoopified right now. Oh, did I tell you Finny is going to daycare this week? He's going tomorrow to meet the lady so that he can spend. I need a less expensive way to store stamp pads. Less expensive than Stamp-N Storage? Is that what we're talking about? You know, they've got multiple options, but let me think on that for just a second, okay? Because I don't know. When I first did this, let me think back. Well, you could actually probably use the same little cases that I make. That I use for my stamp sets. Hang on a second, let me put this on. The problem for me is, you can see all I'm doing is taking those 5/8 inch pieces by 3 inches and I'm just gluing them to the bottom of each of the note cards. The problem is you stack them. You want to store your pads horizontally, not like this. When I first started doing this, I did not know that rule. So I had cardboard boxes that were about that tall, and I stored them just like that, which was handy because I could see the name of the stamp set. But it doesn't work because it runs all your ink down to the wrong end of the pad. So you really want to store your stamps upright like this. So anything, you know what might work would be like a cassette case, if you could find one of those old cassette cases, you know, that has the slots. You really kind of want the slots of the, okay, now I'm gonna move my camera, y'all. Hang on just a second. So this is how you want to store. And so you want something that has slots so that you can see all of your stamps and get to them easy. I think you maybe could use these same exact cases that I've got if you wanted, but the problem is going to be that you're going to have them stacked like this, and then you're going to need this one that's in the center, and you're going to pull it out, and it's kind of a mess. That is not to say I haven't done it. I have done all sorts of stamp storage things when I've traveled with all of my stuff, and it's not very handy, really. But it's certainly doable. I'm assuming you've been to the Stamp & Storage website, and that there wasn't one that was inexpensive enough to qualify. I would tell you that if you can swing it at all, I would get that pad case. Even if you don't get the one like I've got, which is the combo holder, even if you just get the one that only holds the pads, not the refills and the markers, I think you'll end up being much happier with it. Or, as Julie says, the VHS holder is good. You know what? People are not using VHSs anymore. I'd even look at Goodwill, because you just don't know what you might find at Goodwill, right? Okay. So, I hope that answered your question. It's hard. I think one of the hardest parts of stamping is figuring out what to do with all the flotsam and jetsam that goes along with it. If all we had to do was stamp, life would be good, but we do have to figure out what to do with all the stuff, yeah? Okay, so there's my 3 little note cards. And now I'm just going to whip out, with amazing dexterity, 3 little tiny linen thread. You'll be glad to know linen thread is in the new catalog. If it wasn't, I think I might have had to quit, because it's really the only thing I can tie a bow with any you know, anything. And look at that one. I managed to even get that one kind of borkified, but look, you can fix it. I don't make good bows, people. I just don't. Even with my Bow Easy. Why are bows so hard? I don't think my mom is on, but she can tie a bow like lickety-split without even thinking about it. And I don't know. That gene skipped a generation. Skipped a generation. And then I'm just going to use a little dab of liquid glue. Don't know why I'm singing. I'm sorry. Alrighty. There. So there's a 1. Find you a handyman to build one. That's a good idea too. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, unless I'm not, you know, unless you found a way to, well, I don't want to say that because that's rude. He would have a hard time, I think, making it for a whole lot less than what you could get it at Stamp & Storage, at least not at the quality level that Stamp & Storage is. The thing that I like about this case right here is when I drive to TDY's, it is so sturdy, I just pick the whole thing up and put it in the car. And I lean it against the back of the front seat, down in the floorboard, and I put a towel under the front of it so that it leans back a little bit and keeps everything in. And then when I get to my hotel, I just add it to the luggage cart. And then people look at me so funny when I'm riding through. It's kind of amusing, really. You maybe had to be there to see how funny that is. But imagine, if you will, me with almost all of my stamps. When I drive, I just go crazy. I don't even think about it. I just take everything. If it's active, I take it. All of my stamp sets, all of my ink pads, most of my paper. Oh, and you know what? Stamp & Storage just made a new, like a hanging folder thing that I think I may have to get a couple of so that I can take them TDY. Because that's, when I go TDY, right now, I put all of my paper in all of my cardstock in a box, and then when I get there, I stand it all on end, and that works pretty good as far as being able to find stuff. But it boogers up the corners of my cardstock, so I don't like that. I don't like it. I'm probably the only person you know who travels with her stamping things. All right. Which is why I like TDYs where I can drive. Okay, so there's 3 little note cards, all ready with their little whitewashed wood on them to match our little whitewashed wood crate. And I'm going to set these aside so that their little bows can dry. And then we're going to make a matching envelope, just like this. All right, so the envelope punch board is carrying over, so that's kind of cool. So here's how you use the envelope punch board. I guess I could clear away some of this mess. I am a very messy stamper, people. Try not to be like me. Be more tidy. What did you see? What did you see? Oh, you saw the envelope stamp. Yeah. I thought it had gone away. I think I had heard that it had gone away, but it's there, so that's good. Okay, so to use the envelope punch board, all you do is you first find the size of your card. So in this case, it's 3 by 3. I find the 3 by 3 mark right here, and I cut my paper to 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, which is very handy because our paper is 6 by 6. Then the score line is at 2 5/8. Okay, so remember that number, people, 2 5/8. So I have here previously cut handily to 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. One little tip. Sorry, that was not very organized. One little tip. If I am making an envelope for a card that has a lot of layers and embellishments, what I do is I add 1/8 of an inch to the size of the paper. So if I had a really highly embellished card that was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, our normal size, instead of doing an 8 by 8, you maybe can't even read that. Instead of doing an 8 by 8 piece of paper, as it says for 4 1/2 or 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, I would do an 1/8 and an 1/8 by 8 and an 1/8, and then I would still use the 3 1/2 inch score line. So that gives you just a little more size to the envelope and a little more space to put your big bulky cards in. Okay, how can you not be messy? Exactly. Okay, so remember our number, 2 5/8. So here's how you use the envelope punch board. The first time you use that measurement that it gave you, so you take one side of your piece of paper and you line it up with the 2 5/8 inch mark that is right there. You probably can't see it, but trust me, it is. And then you punch, and you take your, hang on. Golly. I was so freaking organized, people, and then I went live. Okay. Then you take your bone folder, which conveniently comes with the envelope punch board, and you score. Okay, now that is the last time you use the 2 5/8 inch measurement. For the next one, you line the score pointer right there up with the score line that you just made. All right, and you punch and score. This ought to look real familiar if you watched the video about how to make the little mini envelope or the mini purse boxes last week. Then you turn it, line the pointer up with that score line, punch, and score. And one more, line up with the score point, punch, and score. Easy peasy. Okay, now I like to have rounded corners on my envelopes. So you use the outside punch and just run around and punch all 4 tips, like so. And then you can put your envelope punch board away and get rid of the little pieces that are left. All right, you can already see it coming together, can't you? Now, I want this side out, so I'm just gonna fold my flappies, fold my flappies, And a square card envelope is pretty easy. If you were doing a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, you would see that it's rectangular. So use that spatial problem solving skill and figure out which one is the top and what's the bottom and what's the sides. Okay? All right, so now I am going to use a little bit of tear and tape for this. And all I'm going to do is put a little piece here. Once I find the end, where did you go? There you are. Like so. And you don't have to have a ton of it because it's pretty stout stuff, and this is a pretty little envelope. And then I pick up my peeling stuff, my peeler stuff that didn't come up. Do you know why it didn't come up? Because I'm on camera. There we go. All right, and then I just fold the other side over. Put another little piece of tear and tape right here, like so. Tear and tape will get away from you, folks. So try to keep it under control. If I was hyper organized, I would measure that and know exactly how big a piece I needed, and then I would cut it very carefully and then put it on there, but that just is not how I go. Okay, so pick that up, and then up comes the bottom, and then I take a little tiny piece, because remember, this is going to be a gift set, so you're going to give these little envelopes and cards to someone. I just cut a little tiny piece. Oh, and you don't want to do what I just did. I don't know if you could even see that, but whereas 2 seconds before I could not get the tape off, that time it just came right off in my hand. So anyway, I take a little tiny piece and I put it on the inside of the top flap. And so then once a person who has received this lovely gift puts their note card inside, they can take the cover off and seal it, and then address the front as so. So now, with the magic of television, here's 2 more that I previously made. And now we have 3 little note cards and envelopes, all perfectly coordinating, because you made it yourself and you made it how you wanted it. Now really, how cool is that? Amy's meeting is at, well, in 20 minutes. So it's at 8 o'clock my time. All right, and there you go. And then once the new the new gusseted 3x6 cellophane bags come out, you would put that down in there, and then take the lovely copper trim and tie an artful bow around it, and then it would look just like this, only better because it was ours. All right, so that is how we use the wonderful crate, the wood crate framelits. These are really fun. I hope you will get them when they come out. Part of the thing I love the most about Annual Catalog is, you get to play with these goodies for a whole year. A whole year. All right. Anybody got any questions that I can answer right now? Jean, I hope I helped you with your storage issue. Just so you know, these little $1.99 DVD crates from Publix or any grocery store, they're Sterilite. I don't think there's an I in there, so it's like S-T-E-R-L-I-T-E. I really like them for my stamps. They work good. I can just pick up the whole thing and move it if I need to. So I like them. All right. Ooh, Jean, you made 15 of the little purses and everyone loved them. Awesome. Awesome. That's a great little project. All right, folks, I'm going to get off of here and get something to drink and charge up so that I'm ready for my Amy's Ink and Crew team meeting. I appreciate y'all coming, especially on Easter. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye-bye.